Hi, you guys. Welcome to my channel. My name is Karen Odd, and these are Karen's Oddities. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Regardless, I do want to ask that you give this video a thumbs up, comment your thoughts below, even if you disagree with my content. And I also want to ask that you share this video and our channel with one person that you know, as I'm confident there is something here that both you and they can benefit from. Today's video is kind of on theme with the last video that I made and recorded. I don't know in what order I upload things, but same theme. I don't think I'm having a midlife or quarter life crisis, but I do think that as I am getting older, I am reflecting on my life, the outcomes, my choices, my time, my relationships. I'm viewing them pretty differently now than I used to. So in today's video, it's kind of on theme with that and just some thoughts that I've been generating and just like this saying that I've come across a couple times, but it really has been resonating with me lately. So I wanted to dive into it a little bit deeper. So we'll be talking a little bit about choices, the impacts of our choices, fate, destiny, free will, a little bit of that kind of stuff. I do have my notes today because I wanted to make sure that I covered all my points versus just going off on a tangent and then maybe ending up where I wanted to or not. So I don't know if you guys have heard this saying. I've heard it a couple of times. I've heard it when I was younger. I've heard it a couple years ago. Excuse me. And then I heard it recently. And I can't remember what the video was about, but I do like listening to a lot of interviews and podcasts and conversations with typically doctors, psychologists, professionals in that kind of space. So the statement is, everything around you is a representation of all the choices that you've ever made. And that is a pretty profound statement, and I'll repeat it. Everything around you is a representation of all the choices that you have ever made. Okay? So we're going to unpack that, obviously. That's the purpose of this video. I know that there are some people that, and I don't want to get into that realm, but I'm just going to say it here. There are people that believe that their circumstances that the circumstances that they're in are wholeheartedly 110% due to external factors. And I don't think that way. I think that external factors can add and contribute to people's circumstances, but I am of the believer, and some people are, that the majority of your present circumstances are a result of things that you've chose to do, have chosen not to do, ways that you've responded to things, have chosen not to respond to things. And I'm not saying things can't just go completely left out of nowhere, right? But we'll get into that a little bit later. So I want to say that first, right? This video is going to be relayed more on the basis that I do believe that we have choice. I do believe that we can really impact the outcomes of our lives. That's not saying that I don't think that there are circumstances that are outside of our control. There are, but I just don't think that's the majority of what leaves us where we end up in life, whatever that may look like. So to break it down little by little, what is choice, right? So choice is defined as making a selection that is your preference from one or more possible options. So literally, in the most basic term, it is you choosing what you prefer, whether it is the thing that you prefer, the action that you prefer over the alternative of what's available to you, over the alternative of what's being offered, over the alternative of what you could be doing, what you could be seeking, how you could respond to a situation. It is you going with what you want to do, what you feel like, right? It's you making the decision to go based on what you feel like doing, typically. I believe choice is typically based on, for a lot of us, it is common for us to make choices based on feeling, choices based on what is going to be most satisfying in that moment. Because it's hard to make choices based on what's best in the long run. I think a lot of times we operate on making choices that lead to like quicker gratification versus making choices that are greater for the long term. And that's where discipline comes in. And I've made a video on discipline, and I'm not saying I'm the most disciplined person, but I think that that's where you make the distinction between the choices that you make. It's how disciplined you are in what you're deciding, and recognizing that yes, this may seem good right now, but it would probably be better if I went this route in the long run, right? So, yeah, what you've chosen up to this date, up to this moment while you're watching this video, what you've failed to choose, how you've responded to situations, how you've failed to respond to situations, how you've showed up in different spaces, how you've failed to show up in different spaces, how you've communicated with yourself, how you've treated yourself, how you've treated others, how you've allowed people to treat you. All of these things are basically they're summation. They are a summation. Your life right now, as you know it, is a summation of all of those things. And yes, but we're not going to talk about the external factors, because yes, there's a lot of things. There's injustices, there's politics, there's limitations, there's regulations, there's laws, there's other people and the choices that they made and how they made those choices while they were in our lives. This is all true. This is all true. But what we're focusing on today is accountability and ownership on the choices that we have made. So when we say a summation, like what does that look like? And the reason that I think this statement is like so profound and almost scary to an extent is think about your living circumstances, right? Like if you are living at home, or if you are living out of your vehicle. I can't play right now, buddy. Or if you are living out of your vehicle. That's not funny, I'm throwing the toy. But if you're living out of your vehicle, if you are living in a halfway house, if you are living in a mansion, if you are living in your best friend's mansion's basement, if you're living in your best friend's garage, whatever that is, right? Your living circumstances, your home, your finances. Do you have to declare bankruptcy? Are you in a lot of debt? Do you owe people money because you have a gambling addiction? Are you fully loaded and you're able to retire by the age of 40? Do you have all these investments? Have you used all your finances to acquire things like jewelry and cars? Or you've used all your money for like experiences, or you've used it on a drug addiction? The relationships in your life, are they healthy relationships? Do you have no friends? Do you have a lot of friends but you can't trust them? Do you not speak to your parents because you guys had an argument when you were 15 and you never resolved it? Are you not talking to your sister right now? Do you have issues with your siblings? Do you have issues with friends? Do you have a lot of romantic relationships? Are you currently going through a breakup? All these things, right? Your personal image, right? Like, are you happy with what you look at when you look in the mirror? Do you feel that your hair is like disheveled, or is it falling out? Not from some like medical condition, but just like falling out from lack of care. Are your teeth rotting and falling out? Are you overweight? Are you underweight? Are you buff and muscular? Are you super fit and in the best shape of your life? Have you gone through plastic surgery? Have you been ruminating on plastic surgery? All these things. All these things are basically results and a summary of all the choices that you've made and all the choices that maybe you haven't made, right? And ultimately, when we look at all those facets of our lives, whether it's our health, our home, our relationships, our finances, our family, our career, it's whether or not, and it's not just so black or white, but sometimes it's easier to go that way. It's whether or not you are fulfilled in life, or are you lacking fulfillment? And typically, if you're lacking fulfillment, it's because one of those areas is not aligned with what you wanted for yourself, what you envisioned for yourself, the person that you thought you would be at this age, at this point in your life. A lot of times when we feel a lack of fulfillment, it's because we are comparing ourselves to other people, other situations, things we see on TV, things we see in movies, things we see in on social media and other people's relationships. My friend, he says, his saying, I don't know where he got it from, but he says comparison is a thief of joy, which I agree, right? There's always going to be someone that is, this is bothering me. I need to fix that. There we go. There's always going to be someone that is smarter, that is more successful, that is more accomplished, that has more than you, that has something that there's always going to be that. There's always going to be disparities. And the alternative, there's always going to be someone that thinks that you are that better version of what they want, that they aspire to be like you, that they're jealous of you, right? We're all on different levels of the playing field, and there's no real win. There's no real win, because the person that's over here can become the person down here from day to night. Things can just shift and flip at the drop of a bucket, right? Which is why it's important to be humble and appreciative and really show gratitude and be happy for the things that we have and take accountability and ownership and work towards the things that you want to have. If you're not there and you want to be here, then what are you doing to get there, right? Versus just being angry or upset or jealous of people. It's really, what are you doing? So something that I think made this, like this topic resonate with me as of lately is, like, I've had moments in my adulthood lately where I just think about, like, you know, when I was young, like when I was in my teens, I wasn't thinking about like, oh, when I'm in my 20s, I want to be doing this. Or when I'm in my 30s, I hope my life looks like this. Or when I was never, and I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know if that's a trauma response. I don't know if it's just being a kid. Because when I talk to other people, like my friends and stuff, and I talk to just strangers and stuff, like they talk about like, yeah, when I was young, I always wanted to this. Like I did think about career things. Like I did say I wanted to be a psychologist. Like I always wanted that. Like I always wanted to be a therapist. And I always wanted to like work for the federal government and like do investigative work and stuff like that. But beyond that, like I never thought of like in practical terms what I wanted my life to look like. The only thing aside from my career that I can remember is I did think about like, I'm a hopeless romantic. So I would think about like relationship stuff. Like I remember I drew out, and I think I still have it. Like I have it somewhere in my office, but I wrote up a thorough, when I say thorough, I mean down to like what we were eating, music list plan for my wedding. I had a guest list. I had the songs I wanted to dance to. I had the songs I wanted played. I had the type of food. I designed the cake. I designed my dress. So it's like that I was planning out in my teens. Like I remember it's like a 4-page plan. I still have it. I think it's cute. I think by then I was saying I was going to be married by 27, and this was going to be my ideal wedding scenario. I am 33. So that clearly didn't happen. I'm single as hell. That was 6 years behind that goal, right? But when you're young, there's certain things that you want and you fantasize and you think about. And that's one thing that I'm like, I was fantasizing, daydreaming, and imagining was going to be part of my life. But I never thought about like, I was never thinking about like, I want to go to college. I wasn't thinking about like, oh, I want to live here. I want to visit this part of the world. Or I think my life is going to look like this, and I want to drive this type of car, and I want to work in a place that feels like this, and I want to look and be able to do these things. I wasn't thinking in that detail. And maybe it's just because I was young, or I don't know. Maybe I think it was also a reflection of like what I saw at home, or what I was being talked about, or what was like what we were discussing at home. And I was raised by my parents, right? But my parents got divorced when I was 8, and I spent a lot of time with my grandparents' home. So it's like, I was like partially raised by them because I spent so much time there because my mom was a working single parent. And my dad was a piece of shit. So, yeah, I'm just like, is it because no one was talking to me about those things as a kid that you have to have, as a child, you basically, you build your thoughts and you build your world and environment based on the environment that is like created around you, right? Based on the conversations you're having at home, your siblings, your friends. Like when you were a child, you were so susceptible to influence by other people because you're young, your brain is not fully developed. You haven't had enough experiences to make choices on your own. So it's like you build your reality around your existing reality. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I never did that. And like when I look at my life currently, not to say that I have like, oh my God, like I have the perfect life. My life is perfect. It's not. It's not perfect. But when I think about where I've been and where I am, I can genuinely say, like, it's like crazy to me, like how things like worked out and panned out and all the things that I could have done and the directions I could have went and how my life could be. And I'm like extremely grateful. Like there are times where it's like I'm like praying to God or like just in the mornings and I'm just like I'm incredibly to the point that it brings me tears. Like I could be like driving home from work or to work and like if it's like a super if I just feel super fulfilled and happy and satisfied with like the day that I had or what I'm going to do or like a conversation I had with a friend or something, like the level of like gratitude for everything that is in my life right now and the life experiences that I've had and the way that God has like kept me from dying and getting whatever terrible things could have happened to me. And a lot of terrible things have happened to me, but the way that he's protected me through all of that and still allowed me to come on top and still allowed me to like have the will to live, um and be able to live in a environment where I literally have every single thing I need. I love my job, my friendships, my family, like everything just seems so in order. I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but yeah, it's just like it's really jarring to me because I'm like, damn, like I never even thought about what my life was going to be like a decade down the line, etc. But somehow it's exceeded my expectations in many ways. And I'm not saying I have all the things that I want, because there's still definitely a lot of things that I want. I want to get married. I want to have a family. And I don't know if those things are going to happen for me, right? There's still a lot of places I want to visit. But it's like when I think about everything that I've done, and then I look at the things that I still want, it's like this bubble's bigger. Like all the things that I've done and experienced and lived and that I can tangibly say, like I've lived that and I have that. This one is more significant than what's lacking still. And yeah, I just think it's weird that I'm like I never thought about what my life was going to be like. And I think, well, clearly I thought I was going to be married at 27, right? So it's like I'm not married, but I got my house. I live here by myself. I love my space. I love having my own space. Making the decision to move out of my home at, how old was I? 26, 27. I lived in an apartment. Even then, I loved my apartment, right? It was super hot. It was an attic, but I loved that. Just like all the things I've experienced, I'm just super grateful for them, right? So, I think all of that, like reflection, has also made me think about like the importance of time. The importance of time, of like the way that we are choosing to spend our time when it's just like when we don't have something we have to be doing. So it's like, how are you spending your time when you are not working or when you are not in school or when you are not sleeping? Like I saw this video a couple of weeks ago. What's the matter, buddy? I don't have food. I saw this video a couple of weeks ago. It was regarding parenting. I don't know how I came across it, but there's a lot of things on the algorithm. But there was a video about a mom basically saying like, she did the calculation. You start your day with 24 hours. You take out this, you take out this, you take out work, you take out commute, you take out this, you take out the shower, getting the kids ready, feeding them, whatever. And at the end, like she showed, and this is parenting specifically, but like at the end, I think it was like 4 hours out of a 24-hour period that you can spend quality time with your child, right? So it's like, I think that we need to think of our days and lives that way as well, of a 24-hour period. Deduce all the time that you have to actually be doing something. You have to sleep. You have to potentially work. You have to potentially go to school, or you have to potentially tend to your family. What are you left with? And what are you doing with those bits of time that you're left with, right? And I'm not saying that, and I think that's in here too. I'm not saying that you have to plan out every second of your day. But if you do that formula right now, and you know that that last bucket of time is 6 hours and you're scrolling on TikTok, does much need to be said? I mean, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but it's like, I doubt that that's how you want to use all of that time. I doubt that you feel good about yourself looking at how much time you're wasting scrolling on something. So I'm trying to be more intentional about considering how I'm spending my time, and considering that time is leaving every moment, literally, while you're watching this video, which I hope it's still a good use of your time, speaking of time. But that's a lot of pressure, right? That's a lot of pressure to like think about the fact that like, oh man, like all the choices that I'm making are like going to result in the life that I have or the life that I'm going to experience. And like, how do I spend this time? So like trying to find a balance. How do you find a balance between using your time constructively, having a disciplined schedule, doing things that help keep you focused on really true goals that you have to find fulfillment, but still also having that time for play. I'm not saying don't scroll on TikTok. I'm just saying don't scroll on TikTok for the only 6 days of your life that you have every day. Don't scroll on TikTok for 6 hours, right? It's about creating a balance and balancing just non-productive use of time with productive uses of time. So what I'm trying to do is, I talk often about like, I have my daily routine every single morning. I try, it's like 20 things. They're small things, like things that I'm going to do anyway, right? Like brush my teeth and floss, shower, take the dogs outside, pray, make my bed, do my morning affirmations, do Kegel exercises, breathe deeply, listen to a spiritual message, read, practice Portuguese, apply to my jobs in New York City, and like some sort of like professional development. That could mean reaching out to someone on a professional endeavor, reading an article about something that I'm interested in, tweaking my resume, whatever. Those are my things. I think stretching every morning. And then I have working out. So whether that's cardio or lifting weights, like I want to do some sort of that. These birds are taking over my home. But anyway, so like I have that, but like separate from that, like I also have a list of like all these random goals that I want to do. So for that, every day I'm picking 1 or 2 things off that list just to like shorten the list, right? We need to get through the list. And every year I'm just going to make a list, and every day I need to go on that list and pick at least one thing to tackle. Because most of the things, it's probably just not one thing. It's like one thing, that the thing that starts a thing that leads to completing the thing. So I think that structure and discipline are important, but I also think like free time to do absolutely nothing is important too. I like watching trash TV. Sometimes I want to just lay in bed and scroll on my phone, or I want to watch trash TV. But if I keep myself on target to hit these things every day and hit at least one thing off this list, then that is my reward, right? Then your reward is sitting there scrolling on TikTok. Your reward is taking a nap in the middle of the day just because you want to. Your reward is maybe ignoring the dishes because you don't feel like it right now. You'll do them in a couple of hours, or you'll do them tomorrow or whatever. Your reward is spending the time in whatever you want to do, right? I think that there is value in like delayed gratification. I think that it teaches us to work hard for the things that we want. It teaches us to, it makes us feel good also when you do something off of a list that you have that you want to accomplish, that you've been talking about. It's very rewarding to cross things off because it's like you are treating yourself and you're giving back to yourself, and you're giving yourself things and moments and experiences, or getting you closer to the things that you want and desire, which is ultimately changing your life. My dog is like looking at me weird. What do you want, buddy? I don't have anything. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Okay, almost to the end. So I think things to reflect on are, what choices are you currently making, or have you recently made, that you're concerned of how they're going to impact your life? What does that look like, right? And just because you made a choice yesterday where you're like, shit, I might have fucked up, doesn't mean that you can't recover from that. Doesn't mean that you can't fix that. Doesn't mean that just because you did that one thing, your life is screwed. No, like I do believe, I personally, this is my personal belief, and yours could be different. If it's different, let's talk about it in the comments. Drop a comment. I'm happy for a discussion that's productive. I'm also happy for a heated debate. I'm good for that. But I ultimately do believe in fate. I do believe that the final outcomes of things, for the most part, are already predetermined. But I do think that we can impact those things, and to some degree with the choices that we make, right? And yeah, I mean, we have free will. We have free will to make choices for the most part, right? Unless you live in a country where your choices are very limited, or you live under your parents' roof and a lot of the choices are made for you, or you're in an abusive relationship and a lot of choices are made for you, right? Unless it's one of those like very extreme circumstances. For the most part, like we have free will to choose what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. We have free will to choose what we prefer to do over what we probably should do. And that is what discipline is, right? Discipline is doing what is best for you, even if it's not what you want to do. And it's very hard to be disciplined and to be disciplined all the time. I think that one of the things that has helped me, even though it hurt me growing up and it hurt my brother as well, was I grew up in such a like very disciplined, structured household. You would have thought my dad was in the military, but he wasn't. He was just psycho. And I think that living with a person that was so psycho and controlling, while it did have some negative impacts, which we're not going to dive into in this video, I think it helped me have that like natural instinct to like be disciplined and like, but unfortunately the downside of that is like sometimes I'm really hard on myself, right? So it's like if you are someone that is very disciplined or you want to start becoming that way, just making sure that you are giving yourself self-compassion. I was in an appointment earlier and I was listening to like some like video on that because my appointment was really long. It was like 2 hours, but just making sure you're being kind to yourself and that you're balancing you trying to create this new structure for yourself while still giving yourself grace when you don't accomplish it, or when you miss the mark, or when you miss a day, or when you misspeak or do something not how you intended it to be. And ultimately, I think listening to your intuition, right? Like, yes, I believe that we have free will. I know that we have free will. Yes, we can make choices based on our preferences. We can make choices based on what is best for us. But also, I find it very helpful when I like literally sit. If I have a very difficult decision to make, I am sitting in silence. I believe in God. I'm praying. I'm asking God to like show me, to tell me, to guide me, to push me, to help me make the best decision for myself. But I'm also listening to my intuition because I don't think intuition is like the universe. I think intuition is God that is inside of us, that is basically telling us like it's kind of like aligning our internal consciousness to let us know that this is okay or this is not okay. Like your intuition is like that inner voice that's like planting, like you'll hear a little thing in your head, or like you'll notice something small and it'll make you hesitate, or you'll find something and it'll make you keep thinking about it. Like that is your intuition. That is your internal guide helping you with the choices that you're making. And I know sometimes, myself included, sometimes we ignore that. And I think that when we ignore it, I think that that's when things have a tendency to go left for us, right? Because it's like that voice was there for a reason. So I think listening to our intuition as we're making choices, and trying to make the choice that is best for us, even if it's not the one that we prefer, is the key to this. But I think I'm going to leave this video here. I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts on this subject, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Thank you so much for watching.